What Jesus never said, and the story of Old Lucia. Have you ever felt exhausted trying to please God, yet still feel invisible to heaven? Have you heard phrases like, God helps those who help themselves, suffering is a result of sin, or you must be perfect to be loved by God? Statements repeated so often, they become absolute truths in our hearts, even though Jesus never said them. This is the story of Donna Lucia, a simple elderly woman with a sorrowful gaze, who spent her entire life striving to be accepted by God. She woke up before dawn, recited repetitive prayers, and sacrificed her desires, yet still felt distant. She believed her difficult life was her own fault, that God had forgotten her. No one ever told her that the gospel isn't about earning, but about receiving. No one explained that many of the phrases she held as commandments actually came from the world, not from Jesus. Donna Lucia lived deceived by these ideas. And perhaps like her, you too are living based on phrases God never spoke. Worse still, you might be distancing yourself from the Father by believing lies that wound the soul. But everything changed on this woman's last day of life, the day she finally understood what Jesus truly said, and more importantly, what he never said. In this video, you'll discover 5 phrases attributed to God that never came from Jesus' mouth. Through Donna Lucia's story, you'll see how these spiritual lies distance us from true faith, and how Christ's truth has the power to free us, even in life's final moments. Before we continue, I ask you, if you believe this message can heal someone, like this video, subscribe to the channel and share it. With a simple gesture, you can be an instrument for this light to reach many weary hearts. Let's delve into this woman's life and the mistakes many make by believing in a God who punishes, demands, and burdens, when in truth he always wanted to love, relieve, and embrace us. Don't scroll away. Stay with me until the end, because this story can transform your faith just as it transformed hers. God only helps those who help themselves. Donna Lucia woke up every day at 4:30 in the morning. Her body no longer kept up with her tired mind, but she forced herself to sit on the edge of the bed, kneel and repeat the same words as always. Lord, have mercy on me. Help me, I'm trying. She did this not out of sincere devotion, but out of fear. Fear of being asleep when God decided to visit her home. Fear of missing the blessing by not being awake at the right time. She was raised hearing that God helps those who help themselves, and carried this phrase as a spiritual truth for over 70 years. In her childhood, her mother said that waking up late was a sign of laziness, and that laziness was a sin God wouldn't forgive. When her father died, Lucia believed it was because he slept too much on Sundays. Thus, she associated tragedies with the idea that God only loves those who produce, or who are in constant effort. No one ever told her that God sees the heart before the clock. What no one explained to old Lucia is that this phrase never came from Jesus' mouth. Nowhere in the Bible does he set a time as a criterion for blessing. What he says is, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. Jesus never imposed a schedule for miracles. He presented himself as rest, not as a burden. Lucia, however, carried this burden with discipline. She prepared coffee before dawn, slowly read the same Bible passages she already knew by heart, and spent the rest of the day feeling she hadn't done enough. Because even waking up early, her husband left her. Even rising early, she lost a son to violence. Even trying so hard, loneliness didn't leave her. Until one day, still before sunrise, Lucia fell in the kitchen. She lay on the cold floor for hours until a neighbor noticed her absence and broke down the door. She was taken to the hospital with a severe fracture, and there, unable to get up for the first time, she couldn't rise early. For the first time, she woke up and couldn't perform her usual prayers. And it was that day that she felt God for the first time. Lying down immobile without strength, she heard a sweet voice within, unlike anything she had ever experienced. The voice said, "Lucia, I don't love you for your early risings. I love you because you are mine." At that moment, she cried like a child, because for the first time, she realized that God wasn't waiting for her effort. He was waiting for her surrender. How many people today still believe they need to rise early, spiritually, to be accepted by God? That they need to produce, deserve, conquer? But God's love doesn't come by merit, it comes by mercy. Jesus doesn't expect you to wake up early. He expects you to awaken to the truth that He already loved you before you made any effort. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone who lives overwhelmed, trying to please a God who is already waiting with open arms. Suffering is a result of sin. For years, Old Lucia carried guilt that wasn't hers. Since childhood, she heard that all suffering was the result of some hidden sin, some past mistake that God was punishing. When her mother died of an unexpected fever, they said it was divine punishment for missing Mass. When her brother was arrested, someone commented that everyone reaps what they sow. Growing up in an environment where pain was seen as a sentence, Lucia convinced herself that God was always noting her mistakes, waiting for the right moment to charge her. So when her own life began to crumble, she wasn't surprised. A loveless marriage, 2 children who took different paths, family abandonment, health deteriorating. I must have done something very wrong, she told herself. God is punishing me. Unknowingly, Lucia built an invisible altar in her heart, not to worship God, but to fear Him. Her relationship with the divine was based on fear, not trust. But what no one ever explained to her is that Jesus never associated suffering with deserving. In John 9:2-3, the disciples, upon seeing a man blind from birth, asked a rabbi who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? And Jesus replied, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. Jesus' response dismantles the entire theology of guilt. Not all suffering is a consequence of sin. Sometimes suffering is a stage for miracles. It's fertile ground for God to reveal His glory. Old Lucia spent decades asking what she had done to deserve so much loneliness. She blamed herself for abandoning catechism, for feeling anger toward God when she lost a child, for speaking harsh words in a moment of despair. But none of that was greater than God's grace. She only realized this in the hospital, days after the fall, when a nurse entered the room and held her hand. You have something special, you know, said the nurse. When I come in here, I feel a peace I don't feel elsewhere. Lucia tried to smile, but her eyes were still full of fear. I don't think God has patience with me anymore, she confessed. The nurse smiled back and replied, firmly, then you haven't met the Jesus I know. That night, lying down, weak, Lucia remembered Jesus' response to the blind man. For the first time, she allowed herself to think, what if all this is so that God's glory may be manifested in my life? And it was. Dear friend, perhaps you've also believed that your pain is your fault, that God is punishing you, or that you're not worthy of anything better. But that's a lie the enemy uses to distance you from divine love. Jesus didn't come to condemn, but to save. He doesn't cause pain to punish you. He transforms pain to heal you. If this message resonates with you, comment below. Pain is not punishment. It's transformation. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Many people are suffering in silence, and you can be a channel of liberation. Chapter 3. God is always angry with you. Old Lucia harbored a fear she never shared with anyone. It wasn't of death or loneliness. It was of God, yes. She feared the idea of a stern God with furrowed brows, watching from above with a list of all her mistakes. This image had accompanied her since childhood, a God always ready to punish, always disappointed, always angry. When life didn't go well, she said, God must be angry with me. When something went wrong, it was because I sinned. And so Lucia began to hide from God. Her prayers were timid, filled with pleas for forgiveness for small things, like forgetting to pray before meals or losing patience with someone. She believed that God was always ready to punish her, and this belief kept her from approaching Him with confidence. But what no one ever explained to her is that this image of God doesn't align with what Jesus revealed. In Luke 15, Jesus tells the parable of the prodigal son, where the father runs to meet his repentant son, embraces him and celebrates his return. There's no anger, only love and mercy. God isn't angry with you. He's waiting for you with open arms. Donna Lucia began to understand this when, in the hospital, a chaplain told her, "God isn't mad at you, Lucia. He misses you." These words touched her heart in a way she had never experienced. For the first time, she felt she could approach God without fear. And you? Are you afraid of God? Do you believe He's always angry with you? Remember, Jesus came to show us the loving face of the Father. He is full of grace and truth, ready to forgive and restore. Don't let a distorted image of God keep you from Him. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone who needs to know the true character of God. Chapter 4. You must be perfect to be loved by God. Old Lucia believed she needed to be perfect to be loved by God. From a young age, she strove to follow all the rules, avoid mistakes, and lead an impeccable life. Yet despite all her efforts, she constantly felt inadequate and distant from God. This belief led her to a life of rigidity and self-judgment. She thought that any failure was a reason for God to withdraw His love. But this idea doesn't come from Jesus. In Matthew 9:13, Jesus says, "I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." He came for those who recognize their imperfections and need His grace. God's love isn't based on our perfection, but on His mercy. In the hospital, a volunteer read Psalm 1:3 to Lucia. "As a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear Him." These words brought comfort to her heart. She began to understand that God loved her not for her perfection, but for who she was. And you, do you believe you need to be perfect to be loved by God? Know that He loves you exactly as you are. His grace is sufficient to cover all your faults. Accept this love and allow Him to transform your life. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone who needs to know God's unconditional love. Conclusion: what Jesus really said. Old Lucia spent her life believing lies about God, but in her final days, she discovered the truth. God loved her unconditionally. She understood that she didn't need to rise early to be blessed, that suffering wasn't punishment, that God wasn't angry with her, and that she didn't need to be perfect to be loved. These revelations brought peace to her heart and transformed her relationship with God. And you, what lies have you believed? Allow Jesus' truth to free your heart. He said, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." John 8:32. God loves you deeply and desires an intimate relationship with you. Don't let lies keep you from Him. Like this video, subscribe to the channel and share this message with someone who needs to know the truth about God's love.